Y'all, I have Invisalign in, and this stupid, cheap, orange red lip was all over my teeth during that whole video. I'm letting you know now that I'm sorry. I hope it doesn't distract you too much. Look back like, oh, girl. So y'all, you're gonna see a lot. But please stay tuned for the information. If you have to treat it like a podcast, I'm not gonna be offended. I don't mind. But just wanted to give you that disclaimer before you jumped in. Love y'all. Stay tuned for lipstick teeth. Welcome to my channel. Today we are going to do another sit down video. We're going to be talking about, drum roll please, how to make it through pharmacy school. It was honestly one of the hardest things I ever had to do, but it was the most rewarding. I am doing something that I only dreamed about. It did take a lot of work, a lot of effort, a lot of tears. It took a lot, but here we are. We made it to the other side, and I'm here to help you get to the other side. You may not be in pharmacy school, but some of these pieces of advice might still apply to you. It might still help you. Let's get into it.
Yeah, get into it.
Pharmacy school is honestly like a big high school. That's what it really reminded me of. When I went to pharmacy school, it wasn't that diverse. It wasn't that diverse. Look, I had to think about my class picture. It just wasn't. And to be honest, I think I was the only African American, like the only Black person. There were other minorities, other ethnicities, but I was the only Black person in my class. Yeah, that was a little odd. So because it was such like high school, you gotta know that you had your cliques. And you gotta know, to survive, you gotta find your own clique. So my first piece of advice is to find your people, find a group, some people who kind of share the same similarities as far as the way you study, the way you communicate, or honestly, just finding people who complement you well. So everybody came from like different career paths, different educational backgrounds. So that was really cool. Everybody kind of studied differently, which really helps you get a different perspective. Find your people, because not only are you gonna need them to help you study, to help spread information, you're gonna need them as support. Some of my friends did not understand the fact that pharmacy school was as intense as it was, or maybe they understood that it was intense, but it's different when you're talking to people who are also going through it with you. I say join at least one organization. I joined SNAFA, which is the Student National Pharmacists Association. I decided to join SNAFA because it did have a lot more people who were BIPOC, okay? It had more people who had different diverse backgrounds, and it really did help, because one thing you're gonna learn is when you click up, people share different pieces of information. Some of those pieces of information include old tests. Yeah, so join an organization. It could help you build other friendships, other networks, and then, like I was saying, within those groups of people, you have people who share information. So the other cliques had been doing this since day one. I only discovered that you could even get access to pass tests, I want to say late in my first year, early second year. So I was like a little behind, and to be honest, I was a little upset. I was bitter because I was working my tail off with no extra resources. But I also didn't put myself out there as much as I could have. So that's why tip number one is to go ahead, get your group of people. And tip number two is to go ahead and join an organization. It will ease you into pharmacy school. You can kind of get lost with everything that's going on with work, with school. So it kind of centers you, gives you like a place or a sense of belonging, which is very important because you're getting so many new experiences, information all at once. Tip number three is prepare yourself for this to be very fast-paced. I only did 2 years of pre-pharmacy school, meaning I, was stuck in my old ways of studying. I am a procrastinator. I am. That's just what I do. I always think I work best under pressure, but to be honest, I gave myself a lot of unnecessary anxiety because I would wait to the last minute to do an assignment or to study. So just be prepared to keep up with how fast-paced pharmacy school is. As soon as you get a hold of something, we're on to the next thing. So make sure that you're taking time when you're at home to go through your notes. It sounds like, who's really gonna do that? You should. You really should. So take the time out for yourself because you will not regret it. My fourth tip is for you to get a job. You're gonna have pharmacists around you, professors telling you, no, you don't need a job. No, you need to focus on school. And although that is correct, I don't think that you're going to be able to apply the information you're learning in the real world unless you're able to apply it in the real world. So that means I think you should get a job, but be smart when you get a job. I say work maybe 1 to 3 days a week. When it's exam time, take your vacation or just let them know you're unavailable. I spread myself out very thin. So my advice is to stick to about 1 to 3 days a week. Work may try to pressure you to work more depending on where you are, but you have to stand your ground because you're gonna be of no use, of no service if you do not graduate and get that degree. Not only get that degree, get that license, because pharmacists don't just become pharmacists after they graduate. You have to take several tests depending on where you're planning on working, and it's expensive, it's hard, so please be mindful of how much you work. I don't even know what tip I'm on, so I'm just gonna start shooting them off. If you didn't know, pharmacy school has a lot of public speaking. I avoided public speaking like the plague. I did not want to take the class. I did not like getting up in front of the class to discuss anything. I've always been good at it, but it always gave me so much anxiety. So be aware that pharmacy school, you're gonna be public speaking a lot. And depending on whether or not you wanna do a residency, you'll be public speaking even more in front of larger audiences. So be prepared. The best thing or advice I could give for folks who are struggling with speaking in public is to look in the mirror, because it's so awkward. Look in the mirror, smile, be confident, and rehearse, rehearse, rehearse. So then when the time comes for you to actually present, it's all just muscle memory. This next one is a biggie. You need to always be on your P's and Q's. People are watching you since day one. Your surrounding classmates, the faculty, the staff, the folks who you shadow, everybody's watching you. And if you present yourself with a bad impression, that's gonna be long lasting. The world of pharmacy is very small, and depending on your city, it's gonna be even smaller. So people know me from being a student, from being a pre-pharmacy student. You have to just be professional at all times, no matter what goes down. At school, I'm not saying like you gotta dress up and do all this, because did we wear sweats? Yes, unless we had our little consultation class days where you had to dress up. But other than that, you just need to treat people with respect, stay out of the drama, stay out of that BS. You are here for one thing and one thing only, that's to get your degree and get the information you need to pass your licensure test, okay? Okay. I just kept to myself, I was quiet. I had me and like a couple close girlfriends, and we would kiki, but that was it. That was it. But once we graduated and I got my job or careers, yeah, that's when we started getting real. Some of my classmates actually started showing me different sides of them outside of school, and it was like, just not messing with you anymore. Please know in pharmacy school, people be doing drugs, honey. They be doing drugs up in there. People abuse amphetamines to stay awake. People get them legally, but the doctors that everybody is going to, because there's like a couple doctors that everybody goes to, at least this was my experience, get their Adderall prescription, to get whatever, so they can stay awake, okay? Because you think them people are going to work, going to school, hanging out with friends, going to different organizational meetings, and they're just always happy all the time, and they're getting good grades. They're not getting any sleep, honey. They are staying up all night. You're gonna see lots of Mountain Dew. You're gonna see lots of Pepsi, lots of coffee. You're gonna see it. People are doing whatever they can to stay awake. My drug of choice was caffeine. Yes, now I'm a caffeine head. But not only are people like on drugs to stay awake, but then you need drugs to help you cope. And these aren't like hard drugs, but these are antidepressants. So it's actually pretty sad because pharmacy school is so competitive. You are constantly comparing yourself to others. Not saying that you have to, but that's just kind of the environment. Kind of a toxic environment if you think about it. But a lot of people couldn't just handle the pressure, or they couldn't find other ways to cope. They needed extra help. And so they went to their doctors, they got on antidepressants, and they just did what they had to do for their mental health. So people are on drugs, all kinds, prescription, non-prescription. Also to come down from being awake, people smoke. I mean, is that anything new these days? I mean, weed is legal, but at the time it wasn't. And you know, people just had to do what they had to do to get by. I'm sure somebody was doing more than just Adderall, amphetamines, if you catch my drift a little. But you know, people were just doing what they could to get to the finish line. So be aware. Don't be a deer caught in headlights. I'm letting you know, as a sis, a cousin, an auntie, not really an auntie, scratch that, but I'm letting you know as a friend what to expect. Not encouraging you to do it. I'm encouraging you to find your own lane, but don't be shocked when you see it or when you hear about it, especially if you only did a couple years of pre-pharmacy school. I only did 2 years. On top of that, I graduated early from high school. I started school early, so I was quite young, quite green, quite wide-eyed. I was 19 in pharmacy school. I think I was one of the youngest people to graduate from pharmacy school. So maybe it's just because I was a little naive. You know, yeah, I went to a big PWI, but my little group of friends didn't do all that. So it was just a little different. So along with people doing drugs, please find healthy ways to cope. Take walks if you need it. Don't spend hours studying. You do need to break that up with walks in between. You can try the Pomodoro effect. After you're done studying, maybe you and your friends can go out to eat. Maybe you can do a little shopping. Don't do what I did and spend a whole lot of money on some things she didn't need because she wanted to feel better in the moment. Please don't do that. It's not financially responsible. But exercise, hang out with good people, go home. If you are going to a pharmacy school that is not where your hometown is, please go home, visit your family, feel your roots, have some plants, have a pet, do something healthy for you, because at the end of the day, when you're done, when you get your degree, you'll have you. You want to have yourself whole, right? So that's really advice for everybody. I have another tip. Follow along with California's MPJE's workbook. If you don't know what MPJE stands for, look it up. Look up California MPJE. Essentially, at the end of pharmacy school, you take this big comprehensive test that tests your knowledge about everything essential, or subjects that are essential to help you act as a pharmacist. It sees if you're fit, if you're competent enough to play the role of the pharmacist in the real life. So my recommendation is from day one, you get the California MPJE so you can study along. Also realize that a lot of those questions that are in this book are very great study material for the real test at the end. I actually use that to study for the test at the end. And one, it just breaks everything down so easily. Like if I had that during school, I feel like I would have understood what was happening much easier. Because yeah, you get into the nitty-gritty in school, but overall you need to just be tested on the overarching theme or the main points. And that kind of really shows you what is the important piece of the information that you're given or of the subject that you all are learning about. Get that book. It's going to help you study for your test. It's going to help you study for the big test at the end. Study after class, even if it sucks. I mean, study after class. It sounds dumb, but it's going to help you retain the information better. Even if you just do like a quick skim, that's my recommendation to you. Trying to pile everything in your brain like 3 nights before a test is not going to help you retain that information long term. I did that and I feel as though I'm getting dumber by the day. Okay? Don't do that. Getting dumber as far as things I'm not used to seeing anymore. And some of it I think is because I would procrastinate and try to cram everything in, and some of it is just because I haven't seen it in a long time. All right, everyone, that brings this video to an end. That was my last tip or my last kind of advice, kind of help you out just as far as what to expect when you get into pharmacy school, how to make it through. Pharmacy school is long, but you can do it. You can definitely do it. If I could do it at that young age, you could definitely do it. Period, poo. No, but thank you all so much for watching. I hope this helps. See you next time, y'all. Bye.